Unlock the miraculous game of life, 3 divine secrets revealed for heavenly transformation. In the quaint village of Lark Meadows, the melodious chime of church bells echoed through the air every Sunday, calling believers to gather in heartfelt worship. Within this serene setting lived Thomas, a humble carpenter, known for his unshakable faith. But when his beloved daughter fell gravely ill, the vibrations of hope turned to despair. The town's doctors, men of knowledge, exhausted their options, surrendering to the gloomy reality that their treatments might prove futile. As whispers of hopelessness spread like shadows over the village, the people rallied behind Thomas. Led by Father Michael, the community unified in fervent prayers, each word rising up like incense invoking the miraculous grace of God. Days slipped into weeks, yet still, the darkness loomed large, threatening Thomas's faith like tempestuous winds against a fragile vessel. In his moment of greatest turmoil, Thomas stumbled upon an old, dusty book tucked away in the corner of his workshop. Its pages chronicled wondrous healings attributed to the saints' tales of hope that sparked a flicker in his heart. He and his family fervently prayed to St. Jude, the patron saint of lost causes, filling their home with an atmosphere thick with anticipation and faith. "Lord, show us mercy," echoed through their home, each prayer punctuated by warm light illuminating the gathering of hearts. One day, against all odds, a mysterious glow surrounded Thomas's daughter, her frail body beginning to stir and her eyes flickering to life. The village erupted in joyous celebration. But joy quickly stirred uncertainty. Conversations swirled through the marketplace and at church gatherings, as the delicate dance between faith and science unraveled like a tapestry. Is this truly a healing from the heavens? They wondered. Yet just when it seemed that Thomas's faith was being affirmed, a bombshell revelation surfaced, leaving him grappling with confusing doubts about the nature of the cure. Was it the divine? Or a mere coincidence? As despair threatened to choke the light within him, Thomas found himself at a crossroads. A battle raged within, drawing him deeper into darkness. Then, in his moment of utter surrender, he felt a divine presence envelop him, a soft glow wrapped around his being. Angels of light appeared before him, gentle and radiant, casting shadows of warm reassurance. "Thomas, faith is more than what you see," they whispered, their voices like sweet harmonies stirring his soul. With each gentle word, divine wisdom washed over him like rain on parched ground. When he emerged from that spiritual encounter, an awakening surged through the village. Thomas, emboldened by his experience, shared his testimony with fervor, igniting a revival that flowed through every heart. His words resonated with the community, drawing them back to a shared purpose, as they grasped the 3 divine secrets to heavenly transformation: faith, unity, and love could weave the miraculous fabric of life itself. But lingering doubts in the hearts of the villagers clashed with newfound zeal. What truly lay behind the mystery of healing? Could their prayers have changed the course of destiny? Was it another test confirming their call to unwavering faith? The air thickened with anticipation as they awaited a greater revelation, yearning for answers. The next chapter of their journey hovered near each soul in Lark Meadows, questing for understanding, caught in the beautiful yet tumultuous dance between the known and the unknown. What divine secrets still awaited discovery? The village whispered, hungry for the unfolding of God's plans, ready to see how faith would illuminate their lives once more. As dusk fell over Lark Meadows, a golden hue bathed the village, casting a soft light on the faces of its people. It was a moment of silent reflection, as evening prayers beckoned forth a deep sense of hope and yearning. The church, a beacon of light amid the gathering shadows, became a gathering place for seekers of truth. Each villager carried a heart filled with questions, wonders that danced on the edge of the unknown. Thomas stood at the altar, surrounded by friends and neighbors. His experience with the divine had deepened his understanding, yet doubts crept in, lurking like shadows at the periphery of his faith. The gentle whispers of angels echoed in his mind, a sweet reminder of the call to trust. Still, he felt a stirring, a calling to explore the nature of true healing. "Brothers and sisters," he began, his voice firm yet tender, "a miracle has touched our lives, yet we find ourselves divided by uncertainty. What is it that we believe? What truth lies at the heart of this miracle? His words washed over the congregation like a wave, inviting them into a collective reflection. Whispers filled the space, and faces turned toward him with eager anticipation. Could prayer truly change destiny? Were they walking a path away from doubt and towards unshakable faith? As Thomas spoke, he sensed the tension in their hearts. Many had seen his daughter's miraculous recovery, yet questions lingered. Different opinions clashed, blurring the line between faith and reason. He could feel the weight of their sentiments, a mix of joy and confusion. "Let us gather in prayer," Thomas urged. "Let us seek guidance from the heavens." The sound of kneeling filled the church as they joined together in a unified petition. Each villager bowed their heads in earnestness, lifting their voices up to the sky. The prayers transformed the air, charged with longing and hope. A sacred energy joined them together, a symphony of belief. In the midst of this collective prayer, a hush settled, an invitation to listen. Thomas felt something shift within, a stirring of clarity amidst the uncertainty. "Lord, reveal your purpose," he whispered under his breath. Suddenly, a warmth enveloped the congregation, a radiant presence that seemed to dance among them. The air shimmered, as if kissed by an unseen hand, and a profound peace settled in their hearts. It was as if the divine had descended among them, not as an answer but as reassurance. Some began to weep, tears of joy mingled with confusion, unveiling a raw vulnerability. Among the crowd, Father Michael raised his voice, breaking the silence. Faith does not live in the absence of questions, but in the courage to confront them. His affirmations resonated like a bell ringing, reverberating throughout the sanctuary. Thomas felt the spirit of unity emerge, an awakening that couldn't be ignored. In that sacred moment, he realized that their journey was not only about understanding the miraculous, it was about embodying the hope they had found. As they unraveled their doubts through prayer and community, Thomas saw their faces shift, from uncertainty to an emerging clarity. "Every miracle holds a mystery," he declared, "and the greatest of these is our love for one another, and for God." Hope surged anew, the villagers' hearts began to ignite with renewed zeal. Perhaps the true revelation was not in the cure itself, but in the bond they shared. Perhaps it was a reminder that healing transcended the physical, it bound spirits together in an unbreakable tapestry of faith. But as the days would unfold, darker questions still loomed at the edges. Were they prepared for the next chapter of their journey? Were they ready for the divine mysteries that awaited them beyond the horizon? With each heartbeat of faith, the village, now a family, stared bravely into the unknown, ready to embrace the challenges ahead, eager for the manifestations of truth to unveil themselves. The threads of their lives interwoven with prayer and love, Lark Meadows stood on the brink of a discovery that only God could unveil. As dawn broke over Lark Meadows, the village stirred with an expectant energy. The light filtered through the trees, casting an ethereal glow that signaled a new beginning. Thomas found himself drawn to the garden behind the church, where dew-kissed petals danced gently in the breeze. Each flower seemed to echo the prayers from the night before, vibrant with new life and hope. He knelt down among the blossoms, feeling the cool earth beneath his fingertips, and offered another silent prayer. "Lord, what is your plan for us? How can we carry this miracle into our daily lives?" His heart swelled with longing, not just for answers but for the strength to lead his community through the next challenge. In the weeks that followed, something remarkable began to unfold. Conversations sprang up in every corner of Lark Meadows. Neighbors gathered in groups, sharing their thoughts on the miracle and its implications. A sense of unity blossomed as they spoke about their fears and aspirations, their voices mingling like the notes of a beautiful hymn. One evening, as twilight descended, a small group of villagers congregated on the steps of the church. Among them was Anna, a mother who had faced her own trials of heartache. "I can't help but think," she said, her voice trembling with emotion, "that the miracle is just the beginning. Maybe it was meant to awaken our hearts, to heal us in ways we've yet to understand." Thomas nodded, feeling the weight of her words settle over the group. "You're right, Anna. Could it be that this healing is not just about the body, but about our spirit?" The conversations deepened, fragile honesty spilling forth like a river of shared experiences. They were weaving a tapestry of faith, colored by their scars, stitched together by love. As days turned into weeks, the village transformed. They began to serve one another in small but profound ways, a warm meal for the sick, a kind word for the weary. Each act became a thread that bound them closer together, a reminder that their strength lay not only in grand gestures but in the simple grace of everyday love. On a particularly sunny afternoon, as children played in the fields nearby, a gentle stillness fell over the village. Thomas gathered everyone at the church, their hearts still steeped in community spirit. "Can we pause and reflect?" he started, his voice steady yet warm. "What if our miracle is calling us to something greater? What if it urges us to live out our faith, and extend that love to those outside our village?" He felt the congregation stir with anticipation. The weight of those words lingered in the air, heavy with possibility. Could they open their hearts wider, beyond the boundaries of Lark Meadows, into the world aching for healing? Thomas could see glimmers of understanding flicker in the eyes around him. A collective transformation was beginning, urged on by the divine hand that had already touched their lives. Later, as they stepped out into the warm light of the evening sun, a feeling of unity radiated amongst them. They were stepping into a new beginning, with each person filled with hope, and hearts ignited by purpose. But with this new purpose came a question: how far would their faith take them? How would they navigate the uncertainties of a world beyond their loving embrace? The air hummed with expectation, whispering of the adventures that awaited them. As Lark Meadows prepared to embark on this journey, each villager felt the pulse of destiny like a drumbeat in their chests, entwined with the promise of miracles yet to unfold. What was it that awaited them as they stepped boldly into the light? The following morning was brighter than ever, as if the sun had risen just for Lark Meadows. Thomas stood once more in the garden, the wonder of the miracle still fresh in his heart. Each flower glistened, imbued with a sacred brilliance that mirrored the joy blooming within the village. He breathed deeply, feeling a powerful assurance that what lay ahead was divinely orchestrated. As the villagers began gathering once more at the church, an electric excitement filled the air. It was as if they had collectively sensed the call to action. Their faces shone with anticipation, eager to step beyond their familiar borders into the unknown, driven by both faith and love. "Today," Thomas announced, as he addressed the growing crowd, "we must seek not just to understand the miracle, but to embody it." His words were like flames, igniting passion in the hearts that surrounded him. "Let us go forth, ready to share the kindness we have nurtured among ourselves with those who are waiting out there, those who don't yet know the love that binds us." Anna stood amidst the crowd, her eyes reflecting hope. "What if our first step is to reach out to the village of Meadowbrook?" she proposed. "I've heard they've been struggling. There are families there in need, perhaps in ways we can help." The suggestion hung in the air, and ripples of excitement spread through the assembly. Thomas felt a thrill of purpose. "Yes. Let us not wait. Let us carry our hands, our hearts, and our love to them." Visions of families gathered around tables, children laughing in the sun, and a community transformed brightened their spirits. Those in the village began to fervently discuss how they could gather supplies, a bounty of food, warm clothing, perhaps medications. The act of giving, the idea of stepping out, felt reverberating and vibrant in their thoughts. In the following days, as preparations began, each villager played a part, their efforts woven together in a remarkable display of collective devotion. The air was filled with laughter as children helped carry the supplies, their innocent joy an offering unto itself. Adults rallied, creating meals and assembling clothing. Even the eldest among them found ways to contribute their wisdom, sharing stories of resilience to uplift everyone's hearts. Yet, amidst the excited chaos, Thomas felt a subtle apprehension. Was this indeed their calling? Or were they rushing forth without fully understanding the weight of the challenges that lay beyond Lark Meadows? He knelt alone one evening at the church, the cool stone beneath him grounding his thoughts. "Lord," he whispered, a lump in his throat, "I seek your guidance. Are we truly ready for this step? Will you provide us the strength we need? In that sacred moment, a stillness washed over him, and he felt an unmistakable presence, a warmth wrapped around him like a gentle embrace, as if heaven itself were affirming his fears, encouraging him. Yes, a voice seemed to whisper, deep and soothing in his heart, step forward with love, for it is love that wins battles unseen. The next morning dawned again, gathering the villagers with a shared determination. As they loaded supplies, expectations rose alongside their spirits. When they finally set off toward Meadowbrook, the road lay ahead like a promise, a thread of hope connecting them to those awaiting their arrival. Yet as they approached the neighboring village, uncertainty began to creep in. What if they weren't welcomed? What if their aid was met with skepticism or rejection? A hushed murmur fell over them as they drew closer, their hearts beating in a quickened rhythm. With a profound sense of divine possibility tinged by fear, Thomas stood at the forefront, feeling the eyes of his fellow villagers upon him as they readied for the next step. "We carry hope," he declared with steady resolve. "Let us remember that love transcends boundaries. Move forward with faith." A collective breath held tight before release washed over them. With newfound courage, they stepped onto the soil of Meadowbrook, into the unknown, into the embrace of divine purpose. What awaited them on the other side? Would the miracle of Lark Meadows multiply in unexpected ways? The sun, casting golden rays around them, whispered of a journey that had just begun, and the promise of the miraculous shimmered in the air. As they entered Meadowbrook, a wave of mixed emotions swept through the group. The cobbled streets were quieter than in Lark Meadows, a stark contrast to their own vibrant village. Tall, worn buildings stood as silent witnesses to the struggles and burdens carried by the villagers here. Thomas felt a flutter of uncertainty, like a whisper in the wind, reminding him that they were stepping into unknown territory, not just physically, but spiritually too. "Keep your hearts open," he called to the group as they moved forward. "Remember, we are here to give hope, not to impose." He wished to reassure them, but as they embraced the inviting spirit of love, he could feel his own heart pounding. As they progressed deeper into Meadowbrook, they finally approached an old wooden sign that read, "Welcome to Meadowbrook." The words felt heavy with promise. A few villagers appeared at their doors, peering cautiously at the new arrivals. Some began to walk towards them, their expressions ambiguous, curiosity mixed with skepticism danced on their faces. One woman, her hair streaked with gray and weariness woven into her features, stepped forward. "What brings you here?" she asked, voicing the concern that weighed heavily in the air. "Goodness. We come in love and community." Anna stepped in, her bright eyes shimmering with compassion. "We have gathered supplies, food, and clothes, all to lend a helping hand to those in need." The woman blinked, confusion etched upon her face. "We appreciate the gesture, but we are not accustomed to outsiders. We manage." Her voice trailed off as she searched Anna's eyes for sincerity. "Please, accept our love," Thomas interjected gently. "We know struggles can bind a community tightly. Our miracle was shared, and we felt it was ours to pass on." As if caught in the warmth of their words, the woman's guarded demeanor began to soften. Slowly, other villagers emerged from their homes, drawn by the whisper of hope. The air grew lighter, infused with a transformative possibility. Shared glances of uncertainty turned into murmurs of curiosity. Conversations ignited, embers of connection were starting to glow. Yet, even amidst the blossoming hope, a tension remained, an unspoken question hung between them. Some villagers, despite the warmth shared, watched skeptically, fearful of what it might mean to accept aid from others. In that moment, Thomas understood their hesitation. It was a struggle often unseen, but deeply felt. "Remember," he reminded the villagers softly, "love has no agenda. It simply seeks to lift burdens." Then, unexpectedly, a young boy stepped forward, barefoot, yet bright-eyed. He looked up at Thomas, an innocence glowing in his gaze. "Can I help?" he asked, his voice a clear beacon of purity. "We could share stories while we work." It was a simple gesture, but powerful. The boy's courage ignited something deep within the crowd. The older villagers, touched by his spirit, began to step forward. Their hearts began to echo the boy's bravery, a desire to open up, to share the load and the laughter. With each item unloaded from their carts, a bit more hesitance faded. Laughter began to intertwine with conversations, comfort began weaving itself through all who gathered. The supplies transformed not just into food and clothing, but bridges of understanding, laughter, and unity. As they worked together, a sunset painted the sky in shades of gold and rose, a reminder of promises both fulfilled and yet to come. But just as the last remnants of doubt started to melt away, a shadow crossed Thomas's heart, whispering of the challenges still lurking ahead. What walls did those unrecognized burdens build? Would the magic of connection persist once darkness fell? Each passing moment drew nearer to the unknown, and a thought weighed heavy in Thomas's spirit: the true test of sharing their blessings was yet to come. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, a hush fell over the assembly. Shadows lengthened, and the atmosphere felt charged, as if the air itself was holding its breath. Thomas caught Anna's eye, both of them sensing the shift. The conversations, though warm, carried an undercurrent, a lingering trepidation. They were living in a fragile moment, where the light of hope could so easily extinguish. "Gather around, everyone," Anna called out, her voice inviting those nearby to join in. "Let us share stories. Stories of loss, of joy, stories of how love found its way into our lives." An older man, his hands calloused from years of toil, stepped forward. "In these times, stories are like lanterns in the dark," he said, a flicker of light in his weary eyes. "They guide us, remind us we are never truly alone." One by one, as they settled down on the cobbled stones, sharing their histories, hearts swelled with the echoes of lived experiences. It was as if they were weaving a tapestry made of their souls, threads of laughter and tears intertwining, building a shared understanding. Thomas listened, entranced. Each story revealed layers of life and faith, woven into the very fabric of Meadowbrook. A widow spoke of the solace she found in unexpected friendships. A young woman recounted the sheer joy of rediscovering her purpose after a long struggle. Each tale was a gentle reminder that hope often took root in the most barren of lands. With every shared moment, the wall of skepticism slowly crumbled. The villagers began to laugh together, and joy kissed their faces like gentle waves washing over weary shores. The boy who had dared to ask for help recounted a favorite fable, his hands animatedly illustrating a dream where a community of unlikely friends saved a kingdom through love and unity. Just as the laughter intertwined with the last remnants of daylight, a low rumble echoed in the distance. For a moment, it went unnoticed, but then the crowd quieted. A flicker of anxiety passed through the gathered friends. "What was that?" whispered a young woman, clutching her shawl. "Perhaps it's just the wind," said Anna, though uncertainty laced her voice. Thomas felt that shadow return, heavier this time. "Or maybe it's a reminder," he pondered aloud, "that storms don't just rage outside but within us as well." The crowd shifted uneasily. Thomas knew he had touched something deep within them, fears bubbling to the surface. "We've ventured beyond our comfort zones," Thomas continued gently, "but let us approach these fears together. With transparency, there is strength. With love, there is victory." Nods of agreement rippled through the gathering, reinforcing the bond that began to blossom. But just as their spirits rose, the sound echoed again, louder and more pronounced. A voice rang from the back, firm yet fragile, "It's coming from the old barn." Every eye turned to follow the gesture. A collective breath was taken, and fear mingled with curiosity in the air. A sense of destiny hung thickly around them. What awaited them in the shadows of that barn? Would they face an obstacle that divided their newfound unity? In that moment, as Thomas led the way forward, he felt an electric anticipation in his spirit that the very challenge itself could be the key to unlock a miracle they could have never imagined. As they approached the barn, he stopped and turned to the group. What if we find something unexpected? Will we let fear dictate our action, or will we gather our courage to uncover the truth about this place? It was a question laden with promise, a dawning realization that something divine was about to unfold. Thomas felt the air shift as he stood before the old barn, the dilapidated structure looming like a forgotten sentinel of time. The gathering was restless, breaths caught in throats, hearts beating in unison under the weight of uncertainty. Each person was a thread in a divine tapestry, interconnected yet facing this moment alone. What could it be? A whisper floated from the crowd, laced with fear and intrigue. "Let us take a step back," Anna said, her voice steadier than the tremors that coursed through her. "We don't know what's hidden within. Let us pause and breathe together." In that breath, a silent prayer washed over them. Each exhale released tension, as if collective peace unfolded like petals at dawn. Thomas could see their fears wavering, courage was blossoming alongside the uncertainty. "Remember," he urged, "when we share our fears, they often seem smaller. Let us be open." As they formed a circle, the light of the moon painted ghostly images on their faces. "Sometimes what looms in darkness turns out to be a blessing," an elderly woman said, her hands trembling slightly but firm in conviction. "Let us not shy away." "Exactly," Thomas nodded, feeling a swell of hope. "Let us approach this together. We are stronger bonded than broken." With newfound resolve, they drew closer to the barn. The old wooden doors creaked as if protesting their approach, but it was no match for the heartbeats of the villagers, pounding with purpose. The air thickened, charged with anticipation. One brave soul pushed the door open, and darkness spilled out like secrets waiting to be revealed. A cloud of musty scent rolled over them, mingling with the earthy aroma of the night. Thomas peered inside, squinting through the dimness. "Light!" he called, and someone ignited a lantern, casting a warm glow into the shadows. As the soft light illuminated the interior, gasps echoed through the small group. Shelves lined the walls, filled with dusty relics. Old tools lay scattered, remnants of lives lived long ago. But in the corner, a larger shadow stood alone, a chest, intricately carved, that seemed to pulse with an ancient energy. "What do you think it contains?" A voice quivered. "Hope," Thomas whispered, sensing it deep within. "It holds the stories of those before us, tales of trial, triumph, and transformation." The villagers exchanged glances, encouragement swirling in their gazes. As they gathered closer, Thomas brushed his hand against the surface of the chest, its wood warm and inviting. "Shall we open it?" Anna asked, her eyes wide with both fear and excitement. "What if we find something that changes everything?" The brave boy who had shared his fable interjected. His earlier nerve had transformed into a yearning for discovery. "Then we will embrace it," Thomas replied, his heart swelling. "This is not merely a treasure hunt, it's a journey into our own depths, a chance to unlock the miraculous within." With that, he and Anna exchanged nods. Together, they reached for the latch, and as they did, a quaking vibration coursed through the ground beneath their feet. It was as if the very earth recognized their desire to seek truth. The chest's lid lifted slowly, revealing a soft, ethereal light that filled the barn, making shadows dance and flicker. An unexpected warmth embraced each villager, igniting a stillness that settled fiercely in their souls. "What have we uncovered, dear friends?" Thomas asked, voice echoing with wonder. Eyes widened in collective astonishment, a mix of fear and faith shining bright as they stared at the glowing contents of the chest. Could it be a divine gift? Or merely an illusion, a trick of the shadows? As they marveled at the scene unfolding, Thomas sensed that whatever lay within was destined to change their journey forever. What truths awaited them in this unexpected treasure? In heartbeats heavy with hope, they stood poised to discover the divine mystery that could guide them into a new dawn. As the chest creaked open, the golden glow spilled forth, bathing the barn in a halo of warmth. Thomas felt his heart race as he stepped closer, his breath hitching in his throat. The villagers leaned in, their faces alight with the glow, shadows retreating in the presence of this soft light. Inside the chest, nestled upon a bed of shimmering fabric, lay an array of items: a delicate wooden cross, a weathered journal, and an ornate mirror. The air shifted again, tinged with the sweetness of something sacred. "What do you see?" Anna whispered, her voice barely breaking the reverent silence. Thomas lifted the cross, its surface smooth and cool beneath his fingers. "This represents faith," he declared, breathing in the beauty of the piece. "It reminds us of the path we walk and the sacrifices made for love." He turned to scan the faces of his friends, their gazes fixed in awe. A soft murmur spread through the group, recognizing the significance of what lay before them. The journal beckoned, its worn cover whispering secrets. On impulse, he opened it, pages crinkling softly, revealing an exquisite penmanship filled with reflections on love, hardship, and hope. "These writings are an invitation," he said, excitement bubbling in his chest. "A call to share our stories, to connect with each other's journeys. Look, we're not alone." He pointed at the words. They spoke of longing and joy, of divine encounters that transformed lives. The light from the chest deepened, illuminating the mirror next. As Thomas picked it up, he gasped. It was unlike any ordinary mirror, it shimmered with an inner light. "This is a reflection of our true selves," he explained, holding it up for all to see. "It shows us not just who we are, but who we can become." He placed the mirror down carefully, and a hush fell over the gathering. Each villager seemed to peer into their own heart, contemplating their fears and dreams. "What if?" someone began, voice trembling with potential. "What if we dared to look deeper, to embrace the change?" came another voice. It was a question that stirred like wind through the trees, lifting spirits and sending a wave of enthusiasm through the crowd. Gathering courage, Thomas addressed them all, his voice resonating with hope. "We stand on the precipice of transformation. These gifts are more than relics, they embody faith, connection, and self-discovery. Are we ready to embrace what they mean for us? To become the light we see here?" The group nodded, eyes brightening with understanding and resolve. They reached forward, each taking an item from the chest. As their fingers brushed the warm surfaces, an electric charge pulsed through them, igniting a collective spark. "Let us make a promise to grow and to search within ourselves," Thomas proposed, his heart swelling as he felt their unity. "The journey won't always be easy, but together, with love guiding us, we can reflect the light in our own lives." According to that pact, they began to share their hopes and dreams, hopes that weave around the dark places of their hearts. Voices intertwined, lifting each other with encouragement and shared faith. Yet, as their community united, a shadow flickered at the corner of Thomas's mind. What challenges awaited them on this new path? What sacrifices or measurements of faith would be demanded? In the embrace of hope, doubt whispered lurking in the edges of their thoughts. "May this be our beginning," Thomas proclaimed, feeling an unshakable strength rising among them. And as laughter and stories filled the barn, a question lingered, hanging like soft mist in the air: what trials would prove the authenticity of their newfound light? With hearts intertwined and the echoes of faith weaving through their souls, they faced the horizon together, ready for the next chapter of their transformative journey. As the joyous conversations buzzed in the barn, a sudden draft swept through, causing flickering candle flames to dance erratically. The vibrant laughter quieted, and an inexplicable tension filled the air, urging the villagers to look around, their smiles fading just a touch. "Do you feel that?" Anna asked, her brow furrowing. The atmosphere thickened, a blend of anticipation and unease swirling around them. Thomas could sense it too, an awareness that their commitment to transformation would soon be tested. "Perhaps it is the Spirit moving among us," he suggested, his voice steady but laced with seriousness. He placed his hand gently on the journal, its pages still warm from the energy of sharing, as if reminding them of the path ahead. Just then, a whisper echoed, a gentle, yet persistent sound that seemed to rise from within the heart of the journal. The words resonated like a melody, pulling them deeper into reflection. It was the voice of the past, guiding them forward, revealing the threads connecting their lives. The villagers leaned in closer, straining to hear. What if our challenges are trials meant to refine us? Thomas pondered aloud, glancing at the faces around him. What if we find strength in the midst of our struggles? The silence that followed was as heavy as the air itself, but then a voice broke through, steady and strong. It was Peter, an elder among them. We must not forget, the journey itself brings us closer to him. Every challenge serves a purpose. His words were like a key turning in a lock, opening realms of understanding and stirring hope anew. I remember my first trial, Anna spoke up, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. I was lost, wrestling with doubt. But it was within those moments of uncertainty that I found the strength of my faith. Encouragement rippled through the crowd. Each person had a story, a moment when faith had met doubt and transformed into grace. Stories emerged, weaving a tapestry of resilience and hope. With each shared experience, the golden light from the chest pulsed brighter, reflecting the vibrance of their unity. Then, the ornate mirror caught Thomas's attention once more. Its surface glimmered as though alive, compelling him to approach it again. He lifted it high, inviting everyone to look into its depths. This mirror reflects who we can become. It shows us not just our flaws but our potential, the divine light within. As they gazed upon their reflections, a gentle conviction settled in. Each face shone with promise, shadows of doubt began to lift, revealing the power of vulnerability and connection in their journey. We owe it to one another to be honest about our struggles, Thomas declared, and to uplift each other as we grow. Agreeing wholeheartedly, they each grabbed hold of their items from the chest. The wooden cross, the journal, and the mirror began to feel like extensions of themselves, each representing a commitment to illuminate the darkness with faith. Tonight, let us not only share our victories but open our hearts to our weaknesses, Thomas urged, fueled by an inward passion that seemed to radiate among them. For it is in our honest struggles where we will find strength. Just then, a loud thud resonated from the barn door. The villagers turned, some gasping as uncertainty thundered through the atmosphere. Was it merely the wind, or something more? A flicker of apprehension crossed Thomas's mind. He stepped forward, courage mingled with trepidation. We must face whatever comes, together, as one. They braced as the door creaked open, shadows swirling around the entrance. Yet as the figure emerged, cloaked in mystery, a sense of divine curiosity enveloped them. What was calling them forward into the unknown? In that charged moment, they were left wondering, was this the revelation of their next test, or something even greater? What truths lay hidden just beyond the threshold, waiting to be discovered? Thomas felt the collective breath of the villagers as the barn door swung wide open, revealing a figure wrapped in shadows. Candlelight flickered, casting uncertainty across their faces, yet a fierce courage simmered beneath the surface. "Stay close," Thomas urged, his voice steady yet filled with unspoken concern. As the figure stepped into the warm light, the crowd collectively gasped. It was a young woman, weary but strong, with eyes that reflected both pain and hope. "Who are you?" Anna stepped forward, her tone welcoming yet cautious. "I am Eliza," she replied, her voice trembling like a leaf in the wind. "I've come from the village beyond the hills, Fairview. It's in ruins. Our homes are crumbling, hope is running thin." The villagers shifted uneasily, the weight of her words hanging heavy in the air. "We've heard tales of struggle in Fairview," Peter spoke up, a tremor in his voice, "but we didn't know it was this dire." With each heart-wrenching detail that poured from Eliza's lips, the villagers felt their resolve solidify, like steel forged in fire. She spoke of families torn apart, of isolation and despair suffocating the spirit of her community. "Please," she begged, clasping her hands together. "We need your help. We know you are not just a village, you've witnessed a miracle. Your faith carries a light, we need you to share it." As Thomas listened, a familiar burning sensation surged within him, a call to action ignited by the warmth of love and unity. "We can't turn away," he declared, his heart swelling with conviction. "We are called to share our blessings. Love must flow like a river to sustain our villages." The crowd murmured in agreement, compassion weaving among them as they recognized the urgency of the moment. "What can we offer?" Anna asked, hope glimmering in her eyes. Eliza's face brightened slightly. "It starts with kindness, the simplest gesture supplies, food, love shared from your hearts. Come to our aid, and together, we will rise." Emboldened by purpose, Thomas turned back to his friends. "We have the love and the supplies already prepared. We just need to extend our arms to those in need." Once more, they felt the spirits converge, sparking a fervor that chased away the shadows of doubt. A ripple of excitement surged through the villagers, igniting their desire to fulfill this divine mission that had unfurled in their midst. Amid the urgency, however, Thomas felt a stirring again, the whisper of apprehension reminding him of the challenges ahead. As preparations began, the undercurrent of fear hovered. What if they couldn't change anything? What if their efforts fell short? Thomas knelt, his heart heavy with trembling anticipation. "Lord," he prayed, "give us strength to embrace this challenge. Help us break down barriers with love." Over the next few days, as they gathered supplies and rallied their spirits for the journey, the village rallied in unprecedented ways. They packed food, clothes, and tools, each item infused with prayers of hope and love. "Let us act as one family under God's grace," Anna urged, uniting their resolve and igniting a spark of determination that grew into a blaze of purpose. The day finally arrived. Lark Meadows set out towards Fairview, hearts filled with eager anticipation. The trail stretched ahead, illuminated by the radiant sun, a reminder of the golden light of love that guided them forward. As they approached Fairview, Thomas felt his heart race, anxiety mingling with excitement. Would this community welcome them? Would they see the divine love they carried? When they entered Fairview, a profound silence enveloped them. Where homes should have stood, remnants of despair lay scattered. The air felt heavy, as if hope had been crushed under the weight of sorrow. Then, as they moved forward, timid faces peeked from doorways, curiosity entwined with caution etched upon their features. It was a poignant reminder of the pain they carried. What do we have to offer? Thomas thought, uncertainty creeping in again. But before fear could take root, Eliza stepped forward, calling out to her people. The village of Lark Meadows has come to help us. They carry blessings of love, we must embrace them. Slowly, one by one, the villagers emerged to meet them, hesitant at first but soon enveloped by the warmth of connection. Thomas stepped up, "We've come in faith and unity, to share our miracle with you. Together, let us rebuild, let us cultivate the light that's within us." As the words hung in the air, something magical began to happen. Understanding softened the lines that had marked Fairview for so long. Hesitant joy blossomed as they began exchanging stories, sharing pain, and laughing amidst tears. The act of coming together initiated healing deeper than mere supplies could provide. The day turned into night, and around campfires, laughter mingled with pledges of hope. Builders and doers emerged from the crowd, all willing to toil for the light they now felt stirring within them. Days turned into weeks, and together they began the process of rebuilding not just homes but spirits. In every act of kindness given and received, love weaved an unbreakable bond. Experiences unfolded in ways they could never have anticipated. Trust flourished, as barriers succumbed to vulnerability. The acts of giving and receiving transformed lives, planting seeds of hope in the hearts of all. But even amidst this flourishing connection, Thomas felt the presence of doubt linger like a shadow, always waiting just beyond reach. Will this last? He would quietly ponder. Yet, within this nurturing environment, they uncovered a strength deeper than they had ever realized. Together, they learned to embrace uncertainty, transforming fears into opportunities for growth like seedlings rising toward the sun. And as the two communities flourished, they discovered the ultimate truth: miracles are not spontaneous acts of divine intervention, but rather, they thrive through love, connection, and unified strength amid trials. What dawn emerged when love became the unbreakable thread connecting their hearts? As they stood together under the stars, Lark Meadows and Fairview entwined, it became clear, the real miracle had blossomed into the power they found in one another. But the journey wasn't over, for divine purpose was ever unfurling on the horizon. And Thomas understood then the heart of faith was not the absence of fear, but the courage to step forward into the unknown, embracing the next chapter in the life-altering story of divine love. Now, dear friends, it's time for you to step into this journey. You need to subscribe now to witness more stories of faith and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let God's light spread forth. Comment below with your own experiences and reactions to this powerful ending. Remember, sharing amplifies the miracle. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to embrace this divine love. Don't wait even one more second to join this sacred mission. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep the flame of faith alive together.